Hey guys, it's your girl DJ Sims and welcome back to my podcast Chat and Vibes. I am super excited because it has been a little while since I've come on here and done a podcast, but today is really special. I have got a super inspirational guest, and to be honest, when I saw her profile, I was like, I need to have a conversation with you. I feel like for anyone who might be going through something similar, it's going to help you out. So without further ado, I have got Jasroop coursing. How are you?
Hey Sims, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So for people who may not know what I'm even talking about, obviously you have vitiligo. So I feel like you should just explain what vitiligo is for people who might not know what it is.
So vitiligo, it's a skin condition which happens, like, it can happen to anyone at any sorts of ages, like any different ethnicities, and it's basically where the skin lacks pigmentation, and where it lacks the pigmentation, the skin starts to turn white. So if you can see, like on my hands, obviously, yeah, and yeah, like I said, it can happen to literally anyone at all different ages. And for me, it first started when I was 4 years old. It started with a small little patch on the corner of my eye. And my family didn't think anything of it. We just kind of, just left it and stuff. But then obviously as I was growing older, it started to spread even more. And that was years ago. So back in the day then, the only thing that they knew then was to cure it, because it was known as such a taboo. So my dad's side of the family are from India, so we got advice from back home, my nan and granddad, and they recommended herbal medication from such a young age. Bearing in mind, when it fully started to develop on my body, on my legs and stuff like that, I was at least 6-7 years old. So from such a young age, I had to take medication, but that was because we knew no better back then. So yeah, I was on medication for nearly 8 or 9 years, up until I was 13, 14 years old. And honestly, it was like a really rough journey for me, only because from such a young age, I was taking medication. It took a very big impact on my mental health, especially during school stages. So when I was in primary school, I kind of thought I was normal because I didn't really think anything of my skin. It was only until I started secondary school that, people would start to stare at me and stuff, that I really started to notice, oh my God, like, I am different. Like, it really did start to affect me quite a lot. And obviously I got bullied a lot for it during the whole of my secondary school experience. On top of that, I was taking medication. I was a vegetarian for 8 years, and there was all sorts of different things. And the medication I was taking, it was like a water-based herbal medication, tablets, like all different types. We was going back and forward to India like every single year. And every year we'd go there, they'd come up with like some different remedy. Oh, she needs to try pig's wee or cow's wee, stuff like this. And it was kind of like, because I had so many people in my ears, like even in school, telling me my skin is, disgusting, I'm ugly, all of these different names and animal names and stuff like that. Like, I started to think, oh my God, my skin is horrible. Like, I can't even go out with my skin without wearing makeup or covering up and stuff like that. So yeah, it did take like a massive impact on me and my mental health. And then I started college, and it got even worse for me during college. I thought, okay, maybe if I go to college, it won't be as bad because I'm not in the same environment as I was in school, but it actually was worse in college.
That does sound like quite a journey so far that you've been on, which I feel like no one can really know how that even feels, because you're the one that's going through it and no one else has to go through that. Do you know what I mean? And I did read up that like vitiligo only affects like, I think it's like 0.5% to 1% of the population.
It's like 1% of the of the world.
Yeah.
The whole world.
It is something that does need to be raised more awareness about, but it's such a like small percentage that like I didn't even know what it was. Like, I'd never heard of vitiligo before.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I saw how you raised so much awareness about it and how you're so like confident about it now, and I'm like, I love that. Like, I needed to hear about your journey.
Yeah.
So do you, if we're gonna like rewind now, like, do you remember like actually getting diagnosed with it? Because you mentioned you were so young, like you must have been 4 years old, did you say?
Yeah.
Do you actually remember that first point when you got diagnosed because you were so young, or is it something that you realised you had when you were a little bit older?
No, so obviously I was so young, 4 years old, like you're still a baby at the time. So I didn't like have a clue what it was. Even during the whole of like my primary school, like you're still so young even then, I just thought I was normal. You know, like I had friends and stuff. I didn't have a lot of friends, but you know, the couple of friends that I had, it was like they looked at me as just a normal person. Well, I'm a normal person, but you know, it was only until secondary where, you know, the kids were older, they were more, you know, especially from the area I'm from, we've not got many South Asian people there. I was like one of 3 girls in my year. I wasn't around like the best of people and stuff. So it was kind of then when I realised, oh my God, like my skin is actually it's different to everyone. Like,
it's different.
Why did it have to happen to me? And you know, from such a young age, all these different things go through your mind, and you start to think, oh, like what even is the point anymore, kind of thing. So yeah, it was only until secondary school that I thought like I'm actually different.
And then you were mentioning about like all of the different types of medications. So obviously there's no cure for vitiligo, but
exactly.
Did you like realise that at a certain point that like I have to live with this? What point did you realise that?
So honestly, there's literally like so much to it, but the easiest way I can break it down is, yeah, there's no cure for vitiligo, but back then, like I'm 21 years old now, take it back to when I was 6-7 years old, which is 14-15 years ago, times have changed. So back then they didn't care, oh, there's no cure, it's just a money making scheme. Like that's what and there's people out there right now still pretending that there's a cure for it when there's blatantly not. And I remember the day that I said to my mum and dad, like, I'm so lucky to have such a supportive family, and you know, they've always wanted the best for me, and especially with my career and stuff. And I just woke up and I said to my mum one day, I was like, Mum, I don't want to take medication anymore. And she was like, if that's your decision, then we stick by you. And I remember we'd have to go to the doctor, I can't remember if it was a doctor. We used to have to go to someone every Sunday to pick up my medication, and my parents would pay a hell of a lot of money for that medication as well. And I remember we just didn't turn up one Sunday, and he didn't even call us, like get in contact with us. So that kind of just proved that it was just a money making scheme. He was just making money off of us, and it was like,
and he didn't actually care about if it was helping you, or because at the end of the day there is no cure, so
there is no cure.
That it probably wouldn't do much, but it's just a money making scheme to almost maybe make you feel that it's doing something, like a mental thing. Growing up during school, I can imagine it was not easy for you. Like, number one, as a South Asian, there's still difficulties there. Like, I always see videos even in 2023 of, for example, let's say like a Sikh boy wearing a turban who is getting bullied, like, and getting beaten up even in this day and age. So for you as a South Asian who has vitiligo, do you feel like was there a time where you were like, when is this going to end? Like, when am I going to stop getting bullied? Yeah,
so like I said, I was one of like 3 girls in my year. One of 3 of like Asian girls in my year. So that's already like a bit of a, you know, all eyes are kind of on you, and especially because I've got a skin condition. So it's like I was like, everyone knew me because, you know, I do stand out. And there was a time where I thought, okay, like enough is enough. Like, when is this actually going to end? I mean, there were times even where I'd go to the Gurdwara with my family every couple of weeks, and even the auntia there, can I speak in Indian? Yeah, even the like aunties and uncles, they'd come up to my parents just giving them new remedies. Oh, she should try this, or if she turns all white, that would be amazing. Like, and there was one time, like, this comment, like, I'll never forget it. One of the ladies was like to my mum, oh my God, like, who's going to get married to her?
Oh my God.
Like, as if marriage is the only, you know, way, like,
the only goal in life.
The goal in life. Like, marriage doesn't define you. Like, do you know what I mean? And my mum kind of was like, was very taken back by that comment. She didn't know what to say. And that was years ago. My mum was kind of like, you know, like, it's fine. Like, you know, it doesn't matter just because her skin's different, kind of thing.
It doesn't define you.
Exactly. My skin doesn't define me. But I feel like they're still very backwards, and the way they think and stuff, it's always going to be there. There's always going to be like a taboo when it comes to vitiligo. I mean, back in the day then, it was really bad to even say the word vitiligo. Like, apparently if you say it, it's bad luck and stuff like that. So when I'd like go to family functions and stuff and people would bring it up, I'd get really uncomfortable. Like anything to do with my skin, like I'd shy away from it. Like I didn't want anyone to talk about it. And yeah, it was like, even if you say the word, it's like bad luck. But yeah.
That's actually crazy, because even now a lot of people, I feel like in the South Asian community, when you get to a certain age, like let's say you're like past 25, people already start saying like, when are you going to get married now? It's your time to get married. And I feel like that comment must have, the fact that it's even stuck with you till today, like that's just not a nice comment to receive at all.
I know, like I think that was probably at least 10 years ago, and I still remember that comment.
And you were quite young, like
I was like 11, 12 years old, so like I'm nowhere near an adult. I'm literally like I'm still a baby. So yeah, that really, it stuck by me. But now I look at it as I needed to hear all those things because it's made me into the person I am today. So I thank those Antia for what they said.
When you were like growing through like secondary school and then you hit college, and you mentioned that it got worse during college, the bullying. How did you mentally cope with all of that?
So it was already like throughout my whole life it's been really bad, but obviously when I was taking my GCSEs it was a very big struggle because I've got exams and stuff and it's hard to concentrate, and yes, it was really tough for me, but during college, especially with A levels and stuff, I think that was probably like the worst time. So obviously I was in college for 2 years. The first year was like, I didn't know anyone really. There was a couple of people that I knew from my school, like my close friends, but they were not in my class and stuff. So it was kind of like I had to adjust myself to a whole new different environment, and I was surrounded by mainly male men. It wasn't as bad at first, and then it started to just randomly happened. Like they'd just start on me for no reason and stuff like that. And it was kind of like, I'd try and kind of like take myself out the situations and stuff, and it got to a point where I was like, I just didn't even want to go to college, and the teachers and stuff, they don't do nothing in college. So it was like I just had like, I'm really lucky because obviously I had my family and their support and stuff, but yeah, it was like a really tough time. But you
had like no support in the building, like you felt like when you went there you just felt alone.
Yeah, like, and I wanted to go there, get my work done and stuff, but I feel like the times that my timetable and stuff like that, like I had a lot of time where I could go home. So as far as way I could be from college, I'd just go home because my house was quite nearby. But yeah, I'd say like the whole of my education period was just really rough. But like I said, the last year of my college, it was actually in lockdown. So, you
kind of got to be at home.
Yeah, I was at home that whole period of the time. And obviously that's when my confidence came out of nowhere, because I feel like I was by myself a lot. Lockdown was kind of like a self-reflection for me. Like I found who I really was, and because I was by myself, like, I just cut out everyone's negativity and stuff and really focused on who I am as a person. So like lockdown was like a blessing for me, I'd say.
I was actually gonna like ask you, like, do you remember a moment where you kind of woke up and felt empowered by who you are rather than hating who you are? And for that was lockdown for you. It was lockdown for me. Obviously for other people it's less fortunate lockdown, like I totally understand, but for me it was honestly like a blessing in disguise. I genuinely believe till this day that if lockdown didn't happen, I would not be sitting here right now talking about my skin so openly. Wow.
So
wow. So you do work with a lot of brands now. Like I feel like you're so confident about it now, and I feel like brands and different on Instagram have all like recognize that, everyone can recognize that you're empowering, you're confident. When did you kind of start working with brands? Did that happen after lockdown?
So it was literally in lockdown. Like I said, literally, it sounds crazy, but I just woke up one day. It was like a hot day, and I was like I just felt so good about myself. I put on like a crop top, some shorts, like let my skin all out. And that day, like I just felt so good, and that was a day that I kind of really truly found myself. Like people were like, your confidence couldn't have come overnight, but for me it kind of did. Like just thinking about it now, yeah, so from a young age, I've always been told, like, you know, you should get into modelling, but I never, ever, ever thought of it. Like, if you don't have the confidence to do something, you're not going to go and do it. And obviously, I always saw Winnie Harlow growing up on American's Next Top Model, sorry. She was, like, one of my biggest inspirations. And, you know, I always thought one day, like, I'll have the confidence to go out and be like her. So, yeah, it happened in lockdown, and literally got a family photographer to take some photos of me to submit to agencies. And then I actually got approached by BBC News, because I put out my first ever picture, which is still on my Instagram now, with my real skin out. And it got a lot of, like, exposure from that. And then BBC News reached out to me, and they said to me, you know, we'd love to do you know, an interview with you, like, and like an article, like, yeah. So I did an interview with them, and that was like my first ever thing before I got into the modelling industry. And then I got reached out by, you know, my mother agency, which is my agency I'm signed to now, which is one of the world's biggest modelling agencies for people with visible differences and, you know, disabilities and stuff. And for me, it's so important to have signed to an agency that not only cares about me, but represents other people that have disabilities and stuff, you know, because in the industry, you go in there by yourself. It's all, you have to learn everything by yourself. So I want people by my side that actually care about me for who I am. So yeah, I got signed by my first ever modelling agency, and in the first week of being signed, I booked my worldwide beauty campaign for Primark, and then in the next couple of weeks I booked Elle magazine, and then I was in Vogue, and I was just, I was so overwhelmed by it all, because it just all kind of happened overnight. But obviously it's different for everyone, but for me it was kind of like, wow.
You felt that change overnight. I feel like when you were younger, you probably never thought that you would be modelling with your
definitely
skin
not.
Yeah.
Like, I never, ever, ever thought I'd be doing what I'm doing. I never even thought that I'd be openly be able to speak about my skin so confidently. So I'd say that's like, people ask me like, what's your biggest achievement? I'd say it's my confidence, you know, speaking about my skin so openly, and the fact that I can share my inspiration and my journey with the world, like, that honestly means the world to me. But yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world.
Did you ever feel like in school or college, or I feel like before that lockdown period for you, did you ever feel like you had to go out and like be fully covered, like even in the summer when it was hot? Did you feel like you had to hide away from the world?
Oh my God, definitely. Like, do you know what? There's so many different things that I had to go through, and from the fact that people have put this image of me inside my own head, and it's the fact that I, you know, you don't know any better. You just listen, and you start to believe all these things. I remember we'd go on holiday every single year, like Dubai. We'd go to America and stuff, and I'd be fully covered. Like, even going to the pool, I'd have to wear like a fully covered swimming costume. Like, not even my skin could be out. Like, I was so embarrassed of it. And even like stepping out, like just even normal things on a daily basis, like going food shopping with my mum, I'd cake myself in makeup, because it's like, I'm so embarrassed of my skin. But looking back on it, it's like, I look at myself back then when I used to wear so much makeup, you wouldn't even think I had a skin condition from the amount I'd cake myself in it. And it looks so bad, but that's what would make me happy. Yeah, that's what like made me feel comfortable and made me feel at like peace in a sense. And obviously there were times where I'd go out without makeup, and it was like, I'd just go home and I'd feel absolutely shit, because people would be staring at me, like people would be pointing and stuff. But I'd say the worst thing was like when it came to summer, because I'd see my friends out in shorts, bikinis, and I'd be wearing like fully blacked out clothes or like jeans, and I would not be able to wear shorts. You would be trying
to cover every ounce of
and
skin.
Obviously my friends, like, they looked at me as just a normal person and stuff, and they'd always say to me like, Jazz, like, wear shorts, it's hot today. Like, no, I'm not hot. But it's like, I'd be sweating. But I knew no better. But now it's like, I love it, because I'm so confident and so happy with who I am. I can go on holiday wearing a bikini and stuff. Like, it's just a little things,
it's just little things. I feel like it's really beautiful that your story, just hearing that transformation almost in your self-confidence and how you just transformed as a person. But for people who might be struggling with vitiligo or any skin condition or any different appearance, that they might have, like what advice would you give to them if they're in school getting bullied, if they're watching this and they just don't know how to express themselves the way you do? What piece of advice would you have for them?
So the advice I'd give is just always be yourself, because at the end of the day, like, no one knows you as much as you know yourself. The biggest mistake I made, obviously, growing up was listening and letting these people fill my ears with this stuff. But obviously I knew no better. So yeah, I'd just say, you know, be yourself and always be open. So if you've got a supportive family and stuff, always speak to people. If you're struggling, like, that's the main thing. Be open, speak to people. Make sure you seek help, because I was a very shy girl growing up, very shy. Like, I didn't speak to no one. I had all the support of my family, my friends, but I was just, you know, stuck in my own little bubble. I didn't want to speak to anyone. But now it's like, if I ever have any problems or anything, or I feel a certain way, be open and just speak to people, and just never forget that what you're going through now, it's not gonna last. Do you know what I mean? There's always light at the end of the tunnel. So yeah.
Do you have like a brand that you are like dreaming of working with?
Yeah, Louis Vuitton.
Oh my God.
And do you know what? It will happen.
It's going
to happen, because since I've been in the industry, I've manifested every single thing, and I can put my hand on heart on that. Like,
really?
Any brand that I've wanted to work with, I've worked with them. And, you know, I'm trying to go into high fashion now, and obviously next year I'm moving to America, which is like a huge step for me. Yeah, so I've got so many big dreams and things and stuff that I want to accomplish. But the main thing that I'll always say is, you know, I want to open up my own charity, skin charity and stuff. I want to invest money into it. I want to travel and stuff, and I want to help, you know, back home in India and stuff as well. It might not even be to do with skin and stuff, but, you know, because that's my home at the end of the day. So there's a lot of things that I want to do other than just focusing on my career. But yeah, Louis Vuitton, it will happen.
I love that. Do you believe in manifestation?
I do, 100%. Like I said, I've manifested like my whole journey so far. Like, anything I say, it comes, like, when you speak stuff into existence, it comes true. Like, I remember I wanted to be in Vogue. Like, I always, you know, since the beginning, I was like, okay, I really hope I get a feature in Vogue.
Yeah.
And when I do, I want it to be powerful. The next thing, I wake up one morning and Vogue Italia have featured me on World Disability Day, a picture of me with my skin out, like, just randomly. Like, I didn't even get told anything about it from my agency. Just woke up and they tagged me on an Instagram. And to see that, like, that really did, made me feel very whole, and it made me remember why I do what I do. So yeah.
I feel like it's really like important. I feel like when you're dreaming about something or you have goals, to like always speak it into existence, to write it down, because it's really underestimated like how much that can actually go just by even writing your goals down and looking at it the following year and being like, okay, I achieved this year. Like you can tick things off. Like, it's more satisfying for yourself as well. But I actually do really believe in that as well. So yeah, plans for your career now. You did mention, you know, you want to open a charity for skin, which is really, really cool. You said you're moving to America as well. Is that mainly for work?
Yes, it'd be for modelling. I also want to have like my own skincare brand in the future. Yeah. But obviously those sorts of things are things that can come in the future. I think for now I'm so focused on my career and, you know, doing other things. But yeah, so when I do go to America, I'll be moving to I was going to be moving to Hollywood, but New York, I'd say, is like the best space for me to start off with, especially because I want to go to higher fashion. So I'd be moving there like for maybe 3 to 6 months and then coming back and forth to London. But I also just want to travel a lot to different places. And yeah, that's just my goal right now, just focusing on my career. Yeah,
no, I love that. I feel like, because I'm a DJ, like I always want to like ask people, I'm so interested in like what people like to listen to. So I feel like a little feature for the podcast. What are your top 3 songs right now?
Oh, do you know what? I'm loving Chris Brown's new album.
Yeah, I love it.
I'd say the number one song that I love of his is Shooter.
Okay.
So that's from Chris Brown's album. Number 2, this is so hard.
Isn't it? Like, whenever someone asks me, I'm like always like, I don't even know what to say to you.
Why is it so hard?
Okay, fine. If you don't know songs, like top 3 artists.
Chris Brown. Yeah.
Do you listen on Spotify?
Yeah, I listen to
What was your
yeah.
Spotify Wrapped this year?
I didn't even check it.
Oh.
I don't pay attention to stuff like that. I'm just like,
You're just like,
so I do like, oh my God, no, this is really bad because I do listen to music a lot. But it's like, do you know what? I know.
Okay.
Chris Brown, Chris Brown, K-Trap.
Okay.
I love K-Trap.
When you were started, I thought you were going to say Craig David. I was like, wait, what? That's like such a jump. But okay, Chris Brown, K-Trap.
K-Trap. Yeah, Chris Brown, K-Trap.
Chris Brown, K-Trap, and
Chris Brown,
third
K-Trap. Oh my God, this is hard.
song or artist, any you can choose.
Do you know what I'm going to say? Rihanna.
Rihanna.
I
You can't
love
go wrong
Rihanna.
with
You
Rihanna.
can't go wrong with her.
It's good to have a little female artist
Yeah.
in there as well.
She gets me my feels as well.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I absolutely loved having you on. I feel like you are just an inspiration, like to so many people who aren't even but people who don't have vitiligo can still look up to you and think she is so confident, empowering, and I want to be like you. So I loved having you on. I loved you sharing your journey. So thank you so much for sharing that with me.
No, honestly, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. Like I said, obviously, when we connected, I don't normally do podcasts, but when I saw your page and, you know, you inspire me to keep going and to do better. And I was like, you know what? You gave me the opportunity to come on the podcast and I was like, I'm taking it because, yeah, I just knew I'd be in like good hands with you. But yeah, no, thank you for having me.
For people who aren't following Jas already on Instagram, I will put her details in the caption, so make sure you go check her out. And thank you all for watching.